hello, and welcome to the show at Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. The trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday, and previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J. Alongside the leader of Squash Squad, Kaliko Yachts, who should be joining us in a little bit, but is here right now, never leaves, Scooter Dust.
Hey!
And it was a good week for Wrestling Lit, as we interviewed Jeremy Prophet on Tuesday and The Godfather of Soul on Wednesday. Two incredible interviews, very different interviews, cannot recommend them enough. You could go into the archives to check them out. This upcoming Monday, yes, that's correct. We're bringing back the last Monday of every month will now feature an interview. And this month we have Fox, also previously known as Foxy Foxy, our first ever solo manager on the show. A great interview, incredible individual. We talk about her time before, starting in like '98 to eventual retirement to resurgence. We talk about Assassin's Creed, pro wrestling, and a hell of a lot more. Definitely want to go check that out. This Tuesday we have Honest John, a very honest interview with an honest individual. Honestly, we talk about maybe not being the best of friends with Marsha Slamovitz, Effie's Gay Big Brunch, and a hell of a lot more. And then on Wednesday we have Izzy B, an alumni from Black and Brey. We talk about that. A match as Batgirl, literally getting lost in the woods, and a lot more. But don't take my word for it. Here's some clips now.
We had nowhere to stay. So we decide, well, there's the venue. We're going to just park in the lot across the street from the venue and sleep in the car. Not a big deal. It eventually went down to 2 degrees, to which we have this ongoing joke in my house that there's a difference between 2 degrees and 12 degrees, because 12 degrees is way warmer than 2. But, eventually sleep does come, only to be awoken by the wonderful sounds of a chainsaw in the middle of Rhode Island. And as a horror fan, I freak out. I love my horror. I love my horror movies. So, of course, I'm dead asleep in 2-degree weather, and the first thing you hear is a chainsaw. You're going to freak out. So, needless to say, we woke up in a state of wonder and panic and delirium. And that's when we're like, oh, it's 12 degrees again. It's so warm. Let's go outside.
But you may not be a big fan of SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, no?
Oh, you have done your research. Oh, I like you. I like you a lot. Cause that's I'm not used to someone pulling that out. So I'm not gonna say I'm not a fan of SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. I just think it's a little bit overrated, especially compared to what came before. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 from time to time. But SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 is that much better.
In that specific moment, he was going to take the QC Cup and hit Steve Manders with it. And I took it out of Brady McBride's hands because you don't do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I went to hit Steve with it, and Steve ducked out of the way, and then I ended up hitting Brady McBride. So I got in pretty big trouble for that.
I believe that was like one of your um, first proper rivalries because that led to you refereeing Braden's match, which, let's say, you didn't necessarily call it down the middle when it came to him.
No, I did not. I definitely he had it the way he treated me through that entire storyline. He had it coming to him when I ref. So he thought he was in the clear and he was going to have the upper hand and the advantage with me refing, but he did not.
Right.
I can tell I can safely say that the Wrestling with Archives are making a killing. And you want to know why I know that?
Yeah.
Because we're currently at 187 subscribers.
Uh-huh. Yeah. We are making an impact, as they say.
Which is the police code for homicide. And, and of course, with actual killing, as you can hear, James is getting rid of a witness for me with that blender. I'm kidding.
That's unfortunately the noise you have when you're not on your normal laptop.
Ooh, maybe we should start a side piece about customer service stories.
Well, on Tuesday the 2nd, we have Lizard Man Nathan Niles. On the 3rd, we have Zeke and Dino. On April 5th, we have a special watch along with with Sebastian Shebass Finn of his match from the New Japan Dojo. Definitely go check that one out. Let's see. We have on the 9th Nahir Robles, the 10th Aisha Raymond, 16th Joey Mayberry, 17th Mitch Clark, 23rd Livia Ville, 24th Kristara. On the 29th, which is a Monday again, Celine Gray. On Tuesday, the 30th, we have Sexy Eddie. And on May 1st, we have Psycho Boy Father. So yeah, April is already looking up as a big month for wrestling with when it comes to interviews. All right, I think we're done putting ourselves over now.
I'd say so.
All right, continuing on putting over, WWE is bringing back the Slammy Awards for WrestleMania week. What are your thoughts on the Slammys coming back?
I like it. It's, I think, the first time they've ever uh, done it when they really should, considering that WrestleMania is supposed to really be the end of the calendar year for the WWE. I'm it's got me it's got my interest, but I think what's happening the day before has my interest a little bit more.
What's the day before?
As wrestling fans may know, there is a documentary on the life and career of Brey Wyatt,
Right.
dropping on April 1st on Peacock. And the day before the Slammys, I think it's the 4th. I think so. Yeah. There's going to be a panel for the documentary.
Really?
Yeah. When I saw the ad graphic, yeah, I thought, oh, they're gonna do like a showing, or I would have maybe said, I would have thought maybe that's when they would have premiered it, but yeah, that's got me really interested, especially after what happened, what was revealed last night on SmackDown, is that the documentary features a ton of Bo Dallas, aka Bo Rotunda.
Right. Well, I mean, he is his brother. So, I mean,
Yes,
if anybody can talk about Brey, it's, his brother. Um,
but the whole admitting, you know, the thing we saw was him, you know, at a table that had the Uncle Howdy mask next to it as part of its video promotional package. So I mean, it's interesting because we haven't heard anything else about Bo Dallas. That's why.
do you think that this documentary might serve as a launching pad to kind of bring Bo back into the fold, wrestling wise?
Yes, and I believe he might even be returning as soon as the Monday after WrestleMania.
Hmm. I think um, that's a great place to, re-debut Bo Dallas. Maybe not
Yeah,
as Bo Dallas, but,
he's
somebody in that world of Brey Wyatt.
you know, and when Brey tragically passed, I had the idea of, you know, I said this on the air. What if Bo felt like he was not possessed, but maybe consumed? Well, not consumed. Uh, Sharing his, you know, meat vessel with Brey, and you know, I think there's a huge way to you know, essentially ease one fan base into a new fan base for Bo.
Definitely. I think that's, hopefully something comes of it that's positive. Um, and it was great timing considering, the Elimination Chamber watch along last Monday. Um, you know, um, tributing the Great Bray Wyatt and his win. So, we're on topic once again. Um, but going back to the slammings, I kind of feel like you're trying to fit too much in for WrestleMania. Like you already have, WrestleMania the show itself. Then you have the Hall of Fame. All the interviews and panels they're gonna do, and then you're going to try and fit in the Slammys as well. I think it's just trying to do too much at one time. Like spread it out across the year, not all in one shot. You know what I
Uh,
mean?
yeah, I get that. The the Slammies are they have a different subtitle now. They're Slammies, the Fans Choice Awards. So and this is going to air as a live broadcast um, on every social WWE social media presence. Um, Also, the WWE has essentially promised the equivalent of what is a pop-up amusement park with WWE World,
Right.
and you gotta remember, God, uh, me being a lifelong, New York City ite, uh, I frequented, WWE New York.
That's right.
In Times Square. I even ate there a couple times.
And imagine the food wasn't great.
Yeah, it was not, and it was way too expensive. But I did get to watch the SummerSlam TLC match between the Hardys, Christian and the Dudleys. So essentially, that's what WWE World is on a much bigger scale. Like they're treating it at this point. WrestleMania is more than a show. I think you just call it a convention.
Yeah, maybe you could go that far.
I mean, what I'm thinking is the fact that they promised a week's worth of events and they're kind of running thin on how to fill the available time that they have advertised for.
So you think that this is just like a desperate ploy to try and get more people gravitating towards WWE rather than like a WrestleCon or one of the other many wrestling events that will be in Philadelphia for
Yeah,
WrestleMania weekend?
yeah, it is clearly a attempt to drag the casual fan back, in and essentially, control their attention spans.
Yeah. Well, maybe it will work, but I think the Slammys are just gonna fall up to the wayside at this point. I don't think anybody's gonna say, "Oh, wow, Cody won Superstar of the Year at the Slammys." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the ability to use that as a gimmick, like Slammy Award winner, that only works with Owen Hart.
Yeah. Oh, like I said, I don't think a lot of people are gonna be talking about the Slammy Awards after WrestleMania. Somebody else that we shouldn't be talking about ever again in pro wrestling is Ronda Rousey, as she has formally announced her retirement from the UFC and WWE. Apparently, she's had a bunch of concussions, not surprising. But she made a book, and on this book tour, so to speak,
She made a
she
book.
announced that.
She didn't even write it. She made it. There's not even words on the page.
So basically, she just yelled at her computer to do what she told it to.
Yeah.
Check GPS.
Well, thanks for coming, Rhonda. We'll see you in about, 6 years or so when you decide you want to come back?
You think it'll take her that long?
No, I think her return will be even sooner. Honestly, I think it's bullcrap. I don't believe her.
I
At
mean,
least from from a WWE standpoint.
I don't know
Because
if you've been
I
seeing
I I know she said she has no interest in returning. But
until
yeah,
they flash those dollar bills in front of her.
but when you're someone with the notoriety of Ronda Rousey, you can't tell me you're not looking out for your health. And you know, her saying she has a ton of concussions makes me wonder, well, why didn't you do anything about it before? considering she's had what, one match, two on the indie scene. I think she honestly flat out lied. She'll be back sooner rather than later. I mean, this is kind of what happened prior to her last return, and I'm using air quotes here. So,
Did she say she wasn't going to come back before her last return?
yeah, it was along the lines of my more along the lines of returning to pro wrestling in general the last time around. So
I don't know if it's a matter of health or did the fans really ever latch on to Ronda? Did they ever really feel like, she was a WWE superstar? Or did she ever have that? Did she ever get over that stigma of she's a UFC person, she don't go here type scenario?
mm, no, I mean the fans um, never really latched on to her, and I've read exactly what she says when she said this. Um, but she criticizes the WWE, calling it an absolute shit show because they can't hold this story over my head and hold me hostage with my own career.
Right.
I don't need anything from them, and I don't intend on going back. So I can say everything that I think and feel while everybody else is still held captive by their organization. Wow. If she's trying to pull a CM Punk, it's failing spectacularly.
I would imagine that she would be more open to be in WWE the way it is now, considering, she had some choice words about Vince McMahon, and, primarily a lot of the people in his circle are not in WWE anymore,
Yeah.
excluding, Bruce Pritchard, which she came out and said, go fuck yourself to.
It, it's there's something more to this than than we realize. I mean, we're saying people are held captive using that analogy. Um, I always thought Ronda might have been actually hit in the head too many times. So yeah, maybe having all those concussions. Yeah, either way, good riddance.
I mean, it's either that or she's trying to drum up some controversy before her book comes out, so people actually buy the book.
You know, and hopefully it'll teach her how to read.
We could only hope. Going on to somebody that left WWE, to somebody that might be returning, Matt Hardy. His contract is supposedly coming up with AEW. Actually, no, that's 100% true. Um, he is in negotiations with AEW. Um, but he was spotted at the North Carolina show on Monday for
Yes.
WWE backstage. Um,
Uh,
yeah.
no information. No new information. Still negotiations. The the general consensus of this, from what I've seen, is, and I'm going to put it in a hashtag almost, hashtag rescue the Hardys.
Well, I mean, is Jeff too far gone to be safe at this point? I mean, a lot of damage has been put on him in his short AEW career.
I mean, if he could pull a Yoda in Attack of the Clones, like he comes out with his walker and Jade, and then suddenly boom, 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 he's back to and then once the match is over, he goes back to being you know crippled and broken Jeff Hart.
Broken is Matt Hardy's gimmick, not Jeff's.
I didn't mean. I meant physically.
I know what you meant.
I know.
Um,
The punchline in there.
I if if Matt Hardy does come back to WWE, is it as a wrestler that does some matches here and there, but maybe go to a more behind the scenes role? Because I don't necessarily see Matt Hardy making a lot of a difference in WWE at this point. I mean, it's a good little nostalgia act for sure, but it's not necessarily going to move the needle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's at this point their value is put to better use behind the scenes or down in Orlando.
You think that being in AEW has decreased their value?
I think their value was decreased even before they started in AEW. I mean, you had Jeff doing essentially a repeat angle of Hawk from from the Legion of Doom, where his real life troubles uh, lead into kayfabe. So, I mean, before all that, I mean, yeah, they didn't have that much more value to begin with.
Well, I mean, before Jeff left WWE for AEW, he was in a pretty prominent spot. He was the last person in the ring for the Survivor Series. I mean, he lost, but he was the last person to be eliminated. He was still being featured in a hot, upper mid card level, and it kind of feels, in a sense, like he kind of drew that away for whatever reason. And then obviously, those demons came back in AEW. You know what I mean?
Yep. You remember who Jeff's last opponent was?
In WWE,
Yes.
it wasn't Sheamus.
Guess what?
Oh, it was
Yep. Who was Edge's last opponent?
Sheamus.
Who was currently not on TV?
Sheamus.
Dun dun dun. That's completely coincidental.
What's not coincidental is that maybe Matt Hardy doesn't want to wrestle in front of half-packed crowds like AEW has been for the last several months. Did you not happen to see that picture of Edge when he was doing the promo with Janice, and they
You
showed
mean
the opposite side of the arena, and he's literally talking to nobody. There's no fans in the crowd.
uh, what you mean Spike?
Her name is Janice. It's always been Janice.
I mean, sure, if you're falling into an abyss.
Well, I mean
Uh,
that's the only way I know it.
um, yeah, but Janice had barbed wire wrapped around it.
No, Janice was just a 2x4 with nails in it.
I thought Janice was a bat with nails, and
Nope.
I mean, Eddie Edwards had the kendo stick.
Yeah, I think he named it Caney.
And, it had some actual like real name.
I'm not sure about that. And
Um,
Perry Saturn had Moppy.
you're welcome.
Yeah,
British people fight dragons so they don't get all fiery. You're welcome. Yvonne, get the muffins. Uh, Kenny, yep, Kenny the kendo stick. All right, well, okay, that did not require much thought.
yeah. Maybe quickly while you're ahead, still. Um, but yeah, talk about somebody that was a bona fide legend, well respected in pro wrestling. Literally did everything you could possibly do in WWE, and now he's relegated to this, and it was his choice. Really?
if if you've watched Dynamite from this past week, um, you'll know that uh, Dynamite ran over into itself, literally, because Rampage was immediately following Dynamite,
That's right. It was a
and
3 hour block.
and Dynamite Rampage started off with the conclusion of that match. So if you one first of all, if you don't DVR Rampage, you're screwed. Um, the only indication that anything was happening was that the lights went out and the barricade graphics switched, uh, and presumably everybody in the crowd thought this meant somebody was coming. Um, but Rampage started with the end of the I Quit match. Uh, Christian Cage will now be is now a eunuch. Uh, I mean, 12 shots to the nuts, but one shot to the not even a shot to the face, and he quits. Um,
I would rather take 12 shots to the face and no shots to the nuts.
um, but the other thing is that people were walking out. People were leaving because I don't know how many people how many people in the audience in the crowd remembered that. Oh yeah, Rampage,
Right.
and the fact that they could have just called it a 3 hour Dynamite, and they decided not to, and you send that crowd home with Rampage.
Right.
Like, there's a tradition, or it used to be anyway, in pro wrestling television, that there was a post-show dark match. Something to send the fans home happy.
Right.
The night after SummerSlam 2005, in Hampton, Virginia, which I was at, you know, all of us being disappointed that we didn't get to see Hogan. And that was the night of Chris Jericho quit or lost the I Quit match. Lost the career match to
That's
Cena.
Right.
And the post-show main event was John Cena and Shawn Michaels against Kurt Angle and Chris Masters. But the point is that, again, it's sending the fans home happy. But seeing people walk out and just, like, is this what you really wanted, Cope? Well, cope with it.
Now, it's funny you bring up, like, it wasn't an overrun of um of Dynamite. It went right into a Rampage. Now, this is just how my brain works. Let's say AEW does come up with some type of streaming network, or you could watch every episode of Dynamite and every episode of Rampage. If I put that episode of Dynamite on, am I going to get the ending of that match? Are they going to add that overrun with that episode of Dynamite? Or am I going to have to look for that episode of Rampage that became afterwards in order to see the ending of that match?
Yeah. I mean, presumably it would be, edited in what's now post. But the thing about this is that I don't believe they said TV time remaining, which was something WCW always did. And whenever they actually needed to do it, or when they decided they wanted to actually use it, it worked. Because, and they didn't use it very often. But when they did, they announced specifically when you could see it. One time it was a 1994 match on WCW Saturday Night for the WCW title between Flair and Sting. It went off the air with Sting locking, with Sting having Flair in the figure four. And then, if you want to find out the result, tune into WCW Pro or the main event, or either way. And then Thunder, an episode of Thunder, Hollywood Hogan and the Giant, Paul White, when they realized they were going to go over, they said, "Okay, you'll be able to watch us over on TNT." And then, of course, there was the time where they would go back to the match in certain points. I can't remember which one this was, but the updates on the match were the commercial breaks for that hour of programming. So again, TV time remaining. It's an old school thing, but it's never really put to good use. And especially when they're trying so hard to get over that mid-card championship.
In your honest opinion, who has who has benefited from being in AEW? Because Edge has like destroyed his career. I could make the argument Christian is possibly doing the best work of his career, but like, who has went to AEW and said like, "Wow, I am forever changed. I'm a bigger star because I'm here."
Hmm. Oh man. Yeah, you really can't. Um, with everybody from Miro to Andrade and everything. The only one you probably could have said anything about uh, is Malachi Black, but as of a few months ago, no, they're the House of Black are in the fucking toilet. Uh,
I believe that's called Bloody Stool.
it's you know what Tony Storm is the only other one.
I agree with that. Um, Tony Storm, Christian. You could make the argument that CM Punk was a big star that remained a big star despite of what he was doing.
And that's the same with Bryan Danielson, which is why I won't group him under that.
Do you kind of feel like Daniel Bryan has stayed a big star?
In name value, yes. In terms of memorable matches, no.
I mean, FTR fell to the wayside, let's be honest.
Yep.
MJF was their biggest star at one point, and they rode that car until the wheels fell off. And the wheels, not only did the wheels fall off, the 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 doors came off and the engine exploded.
I don't know if you noticed, but MJF is not listed on the active roster on AEW's website.
Well, there you go.
Although people apparently were saying that he's been his bio's been missing from the page ever since he lost at World's End.
I can't confirm
Yeah,
or deny that.
I mean, maybe if you go look at the Wayback Machine.
But I mean, even like Adam Cole, who was a pretty big star in WWE, he literally tripped and fell and destroyed his ankle. Like, who the fuck does that? Like, no, I'm not like joking. Like, who trips and falls?
Kevin Nash.
I would say it was a.
My quad!
But he didn't fall. He kind of stumbled.
Vince tearing both getting into the ring.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
And Triple H tearing his quad.
I mean, but he was in an actual match.
Yeah.
He was wrestling.
But we also heard that spot that he called before it, so.
And for that matter, Kevin Nash was. I guess you could call it wrestling.
I mean, he was literally turning around to tag.
Well, sometimes you put all of your heart into your tags. I mean, it was with Razor, right? So, yeah.
No. This was this was during the brief HBK NWO stint.
Well, definitely somebody that isn't a bigger star because of AEW is Sammy Guevara. I, I mean, he could be a star for them, despite himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Um,
And I mean, the
Ma-
same could be said for Darby as
Darby,
well.
yep, yeah. The pillars. I'd say Jack Perry is a bit more infamous.
Yeah, but
Uh,
like if you enter the New Japan Cup in the woods, does anybody see it?
I mean, if apparently Will Ospreay, yes. Um,
I mean, he came from there, so
I mean, and this next piece of news, which concerns AEW, I don't know if you want to go into that because it involves somebody who just showed up, or rather, permanent, on a more permanent basis.
I don't necessarily know what you're talking about, so just spill it.
The Triple Crown is no longer a thing.
Ah, yes. Kazuchika Okada is now the Continental Breakfast Champion.
Yeah, except, yeah, uh, it's no longer. There's the Continental Championship, the Strong Openweight Championship, and the Ring of Honor World Championship are separate once again.
That they were separate to begin with.
Mm, no, no, I just they never had Kingston lose, and they realized the ludicrous idea of three singles titles
From three
being
different organizations.
in one on one person in one match. That doesn't make booking sense. I mean, maybe if he wanted to wrestle himself, but uh, and that's the thing too is that the combination, the Triple Crown, was like what was working for Eddie Kingston.
Was it?
It was, I mean, it was starting to be seen as the working wrestler's accomplishment.
I thought that was Orange Cassidy's title.
Uh, no, the international championship is Cassie just happens to be the guy who they put it on. That's it. Uh, um, which is of course now why Roderick Strong holds it. Uh, but I almost guarantee you that nobody remembers who actually holds it uh, currently. But the Eddie Kingston was putting more of himself and more sincerity into wanting this particular time frame of his career to succeed. I mean, he was going in, with that heart and soul, winning what was supposed to be the equivalent, the American equivalent of the G1. Um, yeah. Also, by the way, Continental Championship, stupid fucking name. I mean, yes, Intercontinental, but at least that means something. Uh, it's
Well,
you know, no, there should be no championships ever in AEW anymore.
well, I will say this: when it comes to the nepotism of AEW, they actually did something right about putting the Continental Championship on Okada instead of giving him all three titles. the guy just left New Japan, and then you're putting the New Japan Strong title on him? No, that doesn't make sense. Okay, you're gonna put the Ring of Honor World Championship on him. Well, he doesn't go there. He's AEW, not Ring of Honor. You're immediately devaluing him by putting the Ring of Honor Championship. But at least the Continental Championship is a AEW Championship with the AEW logo on it. So for that reason, I don't have that much of a problem with it.
Wait,
But
you want to know? Oh God, there's even more uh, news about the Continental Championship.
that
Uh,
being
uh, any future matches for said title will be made irrelevant because the Continental Classic is officially an annual thing, and if the champion wants to retain, he has to win the whole thing.
that's so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, is he gonna? I mean, okay, he'll get an automatic spot. Great. Um, then this shouldn't have really been a championship.
Well, I
Because
mean,
it should have been
Okada
like a
is
diamond ring.
for the first time the ring might actually go to somebody that isn't MJF. Um, what was I going to say? I mean, Okada, if you want somebody to be in your G1S tournament, obviously Okada is the guy to do it because, I mean, he literally eliminates the whole field in like 2 matches. So, like, best like G1 streak of all time.
I'm I'm really wondering if Tony thinks that the uh, the champion, if the IWGP champion being in the G1 means he defends it in every match. I would not be surprised if Tony thinks that making the champion go through a G1 is uh, standard in terms of you know defending his championship.
Well, I don't know what Tony thinks, but Daniel Bryan thinks during an interview that if you put on excellent matches, people will watch.
Uh,
I mean,
and if you give terrible promos, people will watch. What's the point?
because they've been going up against
Yeah.
competition from like um, you know, Big Bang Theory and reruns, obviously, and Family Guy, and
And young Sheldon.
in those few times, they've actually gone up against WWE and got slaughtered. But he believes that if you put on excellent matches, people will watch. If that was the case, then half of your arenas would not be empty, and your base viewer rating for each week would not go down. It would either stay or get higher. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
No, you are preaching to the choir.
Well, AW might want to bring in a choir, if they ever do a Hall of Fame. Tony Khan did a interview and was asked about a potential AEW Hall of Fame, and who would be in it. He stated that the two obvious first choices would be Sting and Brody Lee. And as you know, a third overall pick, Jay Briscoe. What are your your thoughts on AEW Hall of Fame, and who would be the first in these inductees?
I I don't think AEW is at the level of having a Hall of Fame. Hell, WCW didn't have a Hall of Fame. The closest thing they ever did was when Slamboree would involve legends. That's about it. Um, ironically, the last wrestling, well, not in an actual wrestling role, but appearance on wrestling television of Andre the Giant goes to WCW. So they will, their Hall of Fame will not be taken seriously. They won't treat it like it's legit. Um, is he telling us Sting is going to die?
What?
I mean, because the other two mentioned are no longer with us.
I mean, yeah, but you need at
Um,
least one, a live person, to do a speech, and then
yeah, I mean, you know,
even WWE has that rule.
Sting, be already, being in the WWE Hall of Fame, and I also believe the actual Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame.
And the
Um,
TNA Hall of Fame as well.
yes, if Tony wants to actually really do something, you know what? He'd be better off trying to uh, make a Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame with a physical location.
Yeah, if the big guys aren't doing it, then why should he? But I think,
Because then he could get everything around the WWE. It's the little bighorn effect, uh, where if he's got agreements from every other indie organization and talent not on contract, um, then it probably could be taken seriously. And for having an actual building for a Hall of Fame is something pro wrestling fans have been wanting for a very long time. But in terms of Sting, Brody Lee, Jay Briscoe, Sting is worthy of the Hall of Fame. Uh, Jay Briscoe, yes. Um, I I hate the fact that when someone passes, that they it's automatically entry. Not because they don't they don't deserve it, but it, it tends to happen almost immediately. Like Eddie going in 2005,
2006.
2006. Then Brody Lee. I mean,
It's not like it doesn't feel like it's unwarranted. And
no, it's not. It's not unwarranted.
and
It's
Brody's been dead for quite some time.
yes. It's it's a matter of distinguishing the person from the gimmick, because Jay Briscoe, you could at least say he was part of one of the most revolutionary tag teams uh, that didn't come out of Stanford.
Right.
Uh, Brody Lee, aside from being, and no, he wasn't the first TNT champion. Uh, Being a great human being uh, is how I'm thinking Tony is thinking. I also think that it might have something to do with his wife as well, uh, because there's been, she's uh, Brody Lee's wife, Amanda Huber, uh, has gone, hasn't, publicly declared loyalty to any promotion, uh, just loyal to preserving the memory of her husband.
Right.
I'm shocked that there's one name clearly that should have come out of his mouth first. That's Kenny.
Omega?
Yeah.
I mean, Kenny's technically still performing. I
I
mean,
mean,
he might be in the
okay.
twilight of his
Uh,
career, but
Rey Mysterio.
never performed. Well, he was at the first All In, but that was before AEW existed.
Yeah, but he's also still wrestling continuously despite being a WWE Hall of Famer.
Oh, that's true.
It was the same with that. Same with Edge. Um, you know, and you can't help but think that, uh, crap. Should they have waited? You know, it's like, should the induction be null and void if they're still wrestling?
Well, clearly that's not the case, all things
Uh,
considering, but
yeah. But I do think this though. I think the same rule that applies to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should apply to Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and that's you have you need a minimum of years in a career. Uh, for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's 25 years after your first single is released. For pro wrestling, I I would say 10 years after your first match.
okay. Well, I'd like to. The only reason I'd like to see a AEW Hall of Fame is for Sting to say that he's a Triple Crown Hall of Famer. WWE, TNA, and AEW Hall of Famer. He's literally had a Hall of Fame career literally everywhere he ever went. Ever. He went to In and Out Burger last week and they gave him a Hall of Fame plaque.
I mean, hmm, did Sting ever work for Rick Bassman, EPW? I don't think so. Or was it, did the Blade Runners actually? Yeah.
Well, that brings us to somebody a bit of WWE news, I should say. Nick Aldis tore his tricep. Um, it's questionable what he was doing while he was when he tore it. But it makes you wonder, was he maybe training for an in-ring return?
Uh, I I would think so. I mean, I've always I've always loved the possibility of Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce facing each other. I
Mm,
mean, and you also have to remember Adam Pearce at one point was one of the hottest free agents. You they were fans were the belief that he was going to be the next somewhere or other. You know, like like no, not the next Flair, but the next Flair type who performs, has great matches, day in and day out, and is dedicated to the craft.
really drawing no shade on Adam Pierce, but could he actually still go?
That's the other thing is I I remember when he signed
I want to think that he
that
has maybe a neck injury.
I mean that's what I think. But I know that he they signed him with the intent of him being a superstar. Um, but uh, but wait, okay, yep, okay, here it is. Uh, no, Pierce can apparently still go.
Oh,
Um, he he since he says fans assume that it's injury that forced me out of my active in ring career when I stepped away at the end of 2014. Uh, uh, in 2014, he was coming upon his 20th year of being an active active pro wrestler, and he was just tired and emotionally and physically torn. That he loved being an independent wrestler, but he needed stability and a consistent salary and support his family.
look at Adam Pierce getting that good WWE money. It's good on
Uh,
him for that. But Nick, kind of swinging back to Nick Aldis. If he was, maybe an Adam Pierce match is on the table. Maybe it isn't. But if it's not Adam Pierce, who would be a viable first opponent for Nick Aldis? It would have to be somebody that has had issues with him as a general manager, right? To kind of force him into that position.
uh, yes. Um, my first thought is mixed tag team, but they wouldn't bring in Mickey just to get Nick back in the ring.
No,
Um,
I could maybe draw out two names that I'm thinking. The first one being Logan Paul. Um, we know the guy's safe, and he would have a genuine beef with him because he put him in a three-way at WrestleMania Well, he can potentially lose the championship. Um, the other one, and I mean, this is a long shot, but it is worth mentioning. Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Roman had issues with Aldis, and it may be a nice little rivalry to pick Roman back up on his feet after he loses at WrestleMania. If he loses at WrestleMania, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, I can't believe I'm gonna say this twice. Uh, if anybody could pull off a Yoda effect, it'd be Pierce. I mean, yes, we know him as this, the suit, the guy in charge, and then all of a sudden, when he's actually allowed to, he amazes and dazzles us in the ring. Like it's an interesting. I I can't believe I went back to Pierce again. Uh, God, Aldis. I mean, wait, were we speculating on Adam Pierce's potential opponent? I thought Nick's
That's what I
opponent.
said. Nick Aldis's potential.
But oh God, when did Roman face Nick Aldis? You're thinking
He,
of Pierce.
I mean, after WrestleMania, I was thinking, like, it would be.
Okay. You're not referring to past matches because there technically was a match where Roman pinned Adam Pierce.
No, I'm talking about future matches.
All right, so
I
I mean,
think that.
if he was a heel, I'd say the Miz because the Miz is usually the go-to guy for something like that.
True.
I I say screw it, give him. Oh man, damn. No, because Rockson's on Raw. Well, I mean, that'll there'll probably be another drafting one.
Who was you thinking?
I'm thinking, maybe Jimmy.
Jimmy Uso. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Maybe Solo. Uh, I mean, in theory, assuming Roman loses, he gets really pissed at Nick Aldis. Of course, Roman, you know, won't be seen again until SummerSlam and whatnot. But or actually, no, they should. If they don't have him at the international, then they're idiots. But uh, God, Jimmy. Is there anybody on?
I mean, there's a plethora of people. There could even be what is his name? Grayson Waller, Austin Theory.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, but then my mind kept going back to Adam Pierce for that for some strange, odd reason.
Well, I
God,
mean, it's only like I said, he was work. I believe he was working out, and he tore his tricep. It just makes that the gears turn in your brain to say, well, maybe if there's smoke, maybe there's fire, and maybe we will see Nick Aldis in the ring.
I got it. two potential opponents that I want to see.
Okay.
One is R-Truth.
Okay.
The first TNA champion versus and whatnot. No, the first was Shamrock. So second, third, whatever. And the other is AJ.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. And I mean, AJ's a heel right now, so that makes sense as well.
I mean, they could have a really nice impact.
There you go. Alright, and the last bit of news we have tonight is, WrestleMania. You know, it's coming up. I believe last year there were 6 matches on each night. Um, it's rumored, and if you believe in rumor and innuendo, there should be 7 matches on each night. So going from 12 matches over 2 nights to 14. 10 matches have already been confirmed for Mania already. Um, so do you think 7 matches is maybe too many matches? Is it just enough to kind of get away with something?
Last year was 15 matches.
15 matches?
Yeah, eight on night one, and 7 on night 2.
Okay, well that throws that out of the.
I mean, 2 of the matches lasted less. One of the matches lasted less than 4 minutes on night 1, and 2 of the matches on night 2 lasted less than 5. So,
I want to say that was the women's spectacular showcase match.
No, night 1, Pat McAfee and The Miz.
Oh, that's right.
And then night 2, Brock and Omos, and Snoop Dogg and The Miz.
I mean, I guess you could count those as matches.
Hell, Wikipedia does.
Well, if Wikipedia says it's true, then it must be true.
You know, it's God. Why do I not remember Ray versus his son?
I mean,
why do I not remember that at all?
Dominic drew a drink into his sister's face. He came directly from prison.
Okay, yeah.
So,
I mean, is that all right? So presumably 7 matches a night.
yeah.
It's well, I mean, considering that the only ones we know are happening on what nights, are the main events, and the others don't have their nights set out. I mean, would there be any more matches? Should there be any more matches?
I mean, right now we're at 10. So, I mean, let's say that there's room for 5 more.
Okay.
Asuka and Kyrie has to have a match, right?
Yes. Considering that it's now official that Jade Cargill is going to be part of SmackDown, and that she actually kind of showed up for for Bailey, last week and whatnot. I mean, if they're not going to do a women's tag title match, the rest of Damage Control versus Bianca, Naomi, and Jade.
Okay, that could work.
And then you can build to Bianca and Jade from there. We need a comedy match. Which presumably would involve Otis, Ivar, Bronson Reed, and maybe Omos if Omos is still around.
I mean, he seems just to pop up. He has like the Santa Claus schedule at this point.
They'll do like a battle of the bulls and whatnot. Presumably the Andre the Giant Battle Royal will be moved to Backlash.
I was thinking the pre-show.
Well, considering Backlash is in France, and Andre was French.
Maybe do an Andre themed match, but I don't think like the Battle Royal. That's more just I forgot you were on the roster, so here's this match Battle Royal rather than
But they need to bring something a bit more special to Backlash when they get to it. God, what it it looks like they're gonna do Ray and Dominic again.
No, it's gonna be Ray and not Santos. Yeah, Santos Escobar.
That happened last night. On
Or maybe it will be the LWO versus Los Lindarios, Armada, and
the Gato del
Chalada.
Fantasma. Oh yeah. It does look like they're gonna do Ray and Dominic again. Last with his match with Santos last night, a masked Rey Mysterio impersonator came out of the crowd and helped Escobar get the comeback victory. And the imposter removed the mask to reveal Dominic. I think the WWE maybe just like me forgot they did Ray and Dominic last year. And I wish I could say that's a joke.
I mean, that's kind of odd that they would do it this late in the game, but okay.
Yeah. It's the same reason why I'm wondering, well, why haven't they done that? I mean, usually, SummerSlam is the place for that,
Right.
Or at the very least, Money in the Bank. But oh man, you know what? Crap, they're hinting at a feud between Bianca and Tiffany. Certain. You know what I say? I say, screw it. Put Maxine versus Candice.
Oh God, no. Just piss off the entire internet.
You know what? Now then, have Candice lay down for her. Candice being so pissed off she put in a match against Maxine at the biggest show in professional wrestling. She's like, screw it. And be like, come on, pin me.
I mean, then Candice LeRae would be a part of WrestleMania, and I really don't want that. So I'm gonna say no to that. Well, it's in,
Dexter Loomis,
huh?
he could probably. Dexter Loomis could probably use a match.
I mean, when's the last time we saw that guy?
Yeah. Some truth, AJ and Knight.
I mean, we have options at this point, so it seems like whatever they decide to do, it there's stories that back it up. So, and that's never not a bad thing. So we shall see. All right, I believe that will conclude our coverage of the news in this episode as a whole. Of course, if you like what we're doing, um, but first of all, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, but on YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Um, Join us this Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as we interview Fox, Honest John, and Izzy B. And join us every Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews. Follow the show at Wrestling with E, but on X, Twitter, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Where can we find Scooter?
As always, find me on X at Scooter Dust. Uh, keep an eye out to the socials because I have located something I thought was very lost, and it might just be time to release it. Of course, I'm talking about my unaired expose interview with Jeff Jarrett.
Ooh, do we see his underwear?
You don't see him at all.
For Coleco Yachts and Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.